In California, Republicans are ramping up their campaign to recall Governor Gavin Newsom. Supporters of the recall effort have garnered more than 1.5 million signatures needed for the issue to qualify for the 2021 ballot. My next guest is Jeremy B. White. He covers California for Politico and is the co-writer of Politico's California Playbook. Jeremy, welcome. Great to have you with us. We appreciate your California insight. Remind us why this recall effort gained such momentum.
It's all about the pandemic, the same factor that has influenced and upended so much of politics this year. The pandemic both allowed recall backers to gain a court extension to gather signatures, which bought them some crucial time. And then while that was going on, the governor was revealed to have eaten at a fancy restaurant for a top aide's dinner, even as he was urging Californians to stay home. He had to impose another winter lockdown shortly thereafter. So a combination of sort of pandemic fatigue and a sense out there that the governor had sort of been disingenuous really propelled this one across the finish line.
And then, considering that this is certainly not the first time this has happened in California, of course, there was the recall effort in 2003. Is this something that seems to be popular in California?
Recall elections in California, the Constitution sets a fairly low bar to qualify them. On the other hand, this is only the second gubernatorial recall election after that 2003 one, which got us Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I do think that with sort of pandemic fatigue and frustration, that has increased voter interest in recall as an option to hold government accountable. Up and down the state, we've seen recall attempts for everything from rural county supervisors to school boards in the liberal Bay Area. So I do think that sort of direct democracy tool has maybe gained some allure as people have been frustrated and stuck at home looking for an outlet. But I do also think that the governor is in a very different position than former Governor Gray Davis was before he got recalled back in 2003.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the differences, between California then and California now. I mean, certainly most of California leans left and increasingly so when looking back to 2003. So what are the odds of this, recall effort being successful in removing Governor Newsom from office?
I think at this moment you have to say the odds are pretty slim. As you noted, California is overwhelmingly Democratic, markedly more so than back in 2003. There are about 5 million more registered Democrats than registered Republicans here. And polling shows that a double-digit majority of voters would reject the effort to remove the governor from office. A clear majority approves of his handling of his job. So there are several months to go between now and when we would have an election, likely sometime in November. A lot could happen if we see a resurgence of these new mutations that perhaps causes California to reimpose some restrictions. That could really alter things. But I think the trajectory California is on right now, out of the pandemic, combined with those strong approval numbers and just the overwhelmingly Democratic state, really put Governor Newsom in a favorable position to survive this.
And you also know we're talking about California when you look at who is considering a run, right? We've got two pretty high-profile people, Caitlyn Jenner announcing she would run and Randy Quaid saying he's considering a run. What do you make of the Republican contenders hoping to replace the governor?
We have also seen before Caitlyn Jenner got in there, more establishment candidates. I think you would probably say the leading one is the Republican former mayor of San Diego, Kevin Faulconer. And then we see people like Caitlyn Jenner who are a little more aligned with sort of the pro-Trump wing of the Republican Party, although Ms. Jenner did kind of distance herself from President Trump over how he handled some transgender issues. Look, it's going to be an extremely crowded field. Everybody thinks there will be 100 or more candidates in there. There's a very low bar to run. And so I think we will see a version of some of the same fractures in the Republican Party around the country as voters are sort of dividing between the more base, exciting Trump-aligned candidates and the more sort of establishment centrist candidates, and the latter, particularly in California, which is so liberal relative to other states. The Republican Party has been flailing here for a while, although they've had some more recent success. There are a lot of folks who think you need a more sort of centrist candidate like a Kevin Faulconer to win in this kind of state. There are folks who believe the only way to excite and turn out Republicans is somebody who's more of a base pleaser. So this field is still developing, and I imagine we will see many more candidates in there. But I think that fundamental tension is going to animate this race on the Republican side as it is around the country.
All right, Jeremy B. White, thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing more of your reporting out of California.
Thank you.